na Kona Sise. Today, Sarah Network and work at the Ministry of Information and Communication and press conference where they can call every Thursday. Now we go inside the conference room for go witness the press conference.
All right, thank you. I'll now ask that we observe individual silent prayers. Amen. Amen. Just for housekeeping, a couple of media guys came to my office asking what is happening to the result or outcome of our coverage for the press briefing. And I think we smiled over it that that's going to be your Christmas package, because we have two now. That is for October and November respectively. But I've already made the request, and so the next press briefing, which will be the seal for the Christmas before we close, it will be awarded to the winners. So on this note, I'll now invite the Honorable Deputy Minister of Information and Communications for the update and introduction of what we have today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate. Welcome to our usual Thursday press briefing. As always, we start with our weekly update. His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio has delivered a special convocation address to commemorate the 100th Centennial Commencement Convocation Ceremony of the University of Liberia at the Samuel Kayondo Sports Complex in Painesville. The President urged graduates to lead by example and avoid allowing others to hinder their destiny in helping to move their country forward. President Bio further urged Liberians to be mindful of happenings that intend to aggravate their anger and jeopardize their passion for a better Liberia. His Excellency President Bio also met with the leadership of the university, where a special dinner was hosted in his honor. Principal Advisor on Investment, Strategy for Development and Innovative Financing at the European Union, Ariana Vanini, has paid a courtesy call on His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio to discuss the new external investment plan of the EU. President Bio expressed his indebtedness to the EU for their timely visit and stated that his country and the EU has been development partners for a very long time, adding that the EU did support quite a lot of projects in the country. Minister of Information and Communications Mohammed Rahman Swari has been awarded Minister of the Year by Diaspora Focus, a good governance advocacy organization, at the Golden Tulip Kimbima Hotel. The hardworking, result-oriented minister was honored for his outstanding performance in rapidly transforming the information and communication sector in the country. The minister received a similar award from the Nigerian diaspora last year. This year's decision was made by Sierra Leoneans through online voting. The Deputy Minister of Information and Communications led a team from the ministry to represent Sierra Leone at the 9th Innovation Africa Ministerial Summit held in Accra, Ghana. The summit, which is Africa's high-level ministerial platform, attracted ministers of ICT, education, and other industry experts from the continent under the official patronage of the government of Ghana. The summit provided an opportunity for industry partners to engage with ministers and senior government officials from over 40 countries on how ICT can be utilized to improve efficiency in education. The Anti-Corruption Court has been commissioned by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Justice Desmond Babatunde Edwards. The Anti-Corruption Court has been refurbished and equipped through judicial funds and support from the Department for International Development DFID for the purposes of trying cases that are charged to court by the Anti-Corruption Commission following investigations. So that's this one particular one brings the 8. That's how we wrap it up this afternoon for our review for the week. So we continue. Today, the press conference marks the launch of the call to action, giving a human face and inclusive perspective to the campaign for the repeal of Part 5 of the Criminal Libel Laws of 1965. It will be done by the Minister of Information and Communications, Mohammed Rahman Swari. Now, you may all recall that His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio promised this nation during his campaign that his government will repeal the criminal libel law. So far, the process is ongoing, and we are at a stage where we deemed it necessary to bring in non-state actors, including you guys from the media, CSOs, and international partners, to enhance collaboration and partnership in this repeal process through advocacy and effective communications to the citizens of this country. So it is against this backdrop that we have all of you here this afternoon to be a part of the process, because we need to heighten our advocacy and, of course, communications to the public and all other interested parties. So we have a list of people that we've highlighted for this particular conference to make a statement. So at this point, before I call on the minister, I'd like to call upon few representatives here to say a brief word, and then we continue with the press conference. So first up would be the IMC. They are very strategic partners in this whole process. So I'd like to invite the chairman, is here this afternoon, Mr. George Koyama. Also, if you're called upon to make a statement, please let us be also mindful of time. Let's just go straight to the point so that we'll give opportunities to other people to be able to make their own contributions. So at this juncture, I'd like to call on you, Mr. Chairman of IMC, Mr. George Koyama, to please take the podium. Thank you.
Mr. Minister, and Deputy Minister, colleague journalist friends, one and all. Esteemed members of the Fourth Estate, I bring you greetings from the Independent Media Commission, the body with the statutory authority to monitor, regulate, and promote professional ethics in Sierra Leone media. It is my pleasure to inform you all that in pursuit of this mandate, the Independent Media Commission has embarked on a nationwide Meet the Press tour to prepare the minds and hearts of media owners, stakeholders, media managers, and frontline journalists on the implications of the repeal of the criminal libel law. The media in Sierra Leone, which is made up of 200 registered newspapers, 165 community, commercial, and regional radio broadcasters, are public broadcaster, and 29 television stations and DHT, that is direct to home services, is at crossroads with the pending repeal of the Part 5 of the criminal libel law, which criminalizes libel, not even truth is sufficient as a defense. The history of the media in Sierra Leone is dotted with attempts of many frontline journalists, stakeholders, to repeal this ominous law from our law books. After years of relentless fight, this present dispensation of His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio has come the closest to accomplishing this feat. And I crave your indulgence to note the highlights of this remarkable feat that has demonstrated political will to expunge these laws from the books. From a political manifesto to a cocktail with the media, through a promise of the United Nations General Assembly in 2018, and finally, the cabinet approval is the road we have traversed thus far in expunging the criminal libel law from our books, leaving only the last significant step of tabling the bill into Parliament. At this momentous threshold in which the media is about to perceive a newfound freedom, there are many who see entertain fears that repeal of the criminal libel law will unleash a spirit of professional journalism that will give the media a field day to abuse the rights of citizens in their publications and broadcasts. There are others, however, who feel that this movement should be embraced in all its entirety, and it puts us in symphony with the rest of the world in international best practices that promote professionalism in the media. As media regulators, we have taken this tour of the entire country to remind stakeholders, media owners, managers, and journalists that this newfound freedom comes with added responsibilities that will not only ensure respect of the rights of people regarding their hard-earned reputations, but also guarantee respect of labor and social security laws for media workers themselves. In the national tour, of course, we visited 56 media institutions up country. In the national tour, the IMC embarked on compliance monitoring from legal, managerial, financial, and technical parameters. We asked for basic compliance within the following. 1. Payments of correct wages to media practitioners above the minimum wage. 2. Payment of correct taxes to NRA. 3. Payment of NACIT for journalists and media practitioners. 4. Information on editorial policy. 5. Basic information on managerial structure and organogram. 6. Information on governance structures of radio stations in their board of management. And 7. Compliance with the parameters of their spectrum to broadcast on specific transmitter wattages. While we report generally that a lot of growth has taken place across the media landscape in Sierra Leone, with different stakeholders playing their part in the improvement of the media, there are serious problems around compliance in the payment of correct salaries to journalists, massive payment by managers, lack of coordination in governance structures, in the formation of boards right across the country. A good number of media houses are broadcasting above the spectrum allocated to them by NATCOM without authorization. As we embark on the Western area segment of our tour next year, let this serve as information and notification to all media houses in the Western area that freedom for which we clamor has attendant responsibilities. It starts with putting our houses in order by treating our functional boards across media houses to monitor compliance in basic media ethics. As we move towards the repeal of the criminal libel law, let the watchword be responsible journalism for a free media in Sierra Leone. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman of IMC. Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard from the chairman, a lot is going on right now with regards to this process. And we've had a series of meetings, with various stakeholders, local and international. And we have some in the room this afternoon. So at this point, I don't know whether we have a representative from Usiwa here. No? All right, so let me call on Mr. Fatoma. He actually is part of a team of CSOs that we put together for this process. So in the absence of the representative from Usiwa, I'd just like Mr. Fatoma to come up and say a few words. Mr. Abdul Fatoma of Shadi.
Good afternoon. I stand on existing protocol, so good afternoon to you all. And we need to be interested in engaging media, not just as another constituent with some influence, but because it is one of the essential lever of power. Media is integral to civil society. The role of media in protecting and promoting human rights, and also the causes of violation. Charlie happens to be part of a consortium that promoting, the sensitization on the Part 5 of the Public Order Act. And we have been engaging with the ministry and interfacing with donor partners as well with regards to this, the country development partners. With regards to that, we look at it that this issue is not only about the media, It's about us, the society, the people of Sierra Leone. It affects, our economy, the growth of our economy. If somebody wants to invest in the media, definitely it knows that there is a bad law hanging over journalists and also proprietor or that very investor. They're going to be run away from that. What happened? Those young men and women who have interest in working in the field of journalism, they will become jobless and there will be no money. And when there is no money, the economy of this country gets cash strapped. So let's look at it from that angle. It's not about only practitioner, of the media, but it is about us. I happen to be a victim as well. This is a bad law that's used by our politicians, whether they're in power or they're in opposition. When they're in opposition, it's bad for them, but when they're in power, it's one of the good tools, for them to control who they want to control and who they don't want to speak against them. So, for my intro, I believe we should work together as a nation, not civil society fight, not media fight, or not the ministry fight, but a collective fight. I also know we have put in place safeguards. If people are worried that reckless journalism will be there, just go and assure them that, there are safeguards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fatoma. That was really very short and to the point. So we continue with more remarks. I'd like to call on a representative from the IRN, Independent Radio Network.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Ministers, Honorable Minister, the Chairman of the IMC, distinguished colleagues of the Fourth Estate, all protocols observed. The Independent Radio Network is a network of about 40 radio stations operating across the country. And of course, you all will agree with me that it is a formidable constituency within the media landscape in Sierra Leone. Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act is a piece of legislation that has been one of the most controversial piece of legislation in the last 30 or more years in Sierra Leone. One of the reasons for that is because the law is now in conflict with modern day reality. The law originated from an authoritarian regime, and we are now living in a democratic dispensation. A lot has been said about the Public Order Act, and I believe we are now at a point where it is important for us to get this job done. Successive governments have paid lip service to the repeal of this legislation, but thankfully, the government of President Bio has made tremendous progress in responding to the appeal of the media and other human rights activists for the repeal of the law. The repeal process is now at a crucial stage that needs the resolve of our lawmakers to do the needful. Let me quickly remind our parliamentarians that Sierra Leone is signatory to several international instruments. They have ratified most of these instruments, and Part 5 of the Public Order Act is in conflict with these instruments. This does not give a positive outlook of a progressive nation. We shouldn't be a walking contradiction. Decriminalizing Part 5 of the Public Order Act will significantly increase the international profile of Sierra Leone as a progressive democratic nation. As IRN, a clarion call to the legislative arm of government, the Parliament, is to support a progressive vision of the President and other well-meaning activists who have been calling for a repeal for decades now. One of the issue of replacement, it should be noted that the repeal will not create a vacuum, as there are existing laws that protect citizens' privacy. It will be historic for the 5th Parliament in the Second Republic to have the honor of being one of the most progressive parliaments in the history of Sierra Leone. It will be recorded in the annals of our nation that it was during that tenure that this obnoxious law was repealed. As the national coordinator of the Independent Youth Network, we call on the lawmakers to do the needful, to support a progressive effort and repeal Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with more statements, but also quickly to remind the rest of the speakers, let's please keep to what's been going on so far. Every speaker has actually tried to stay within time, and we want the rest of the speakers to also be mindful of the time slot allocated to them. So at this point, I'd like to call on SLAJ, Salute Association of Journalists. The president is here, Mr. Nasir Alat, please make a statement.
Oh my God.
This is what you get.
This is what you get when your president is a cartoonist. Unfortunately, I have limited time, so I won't go through everything that I prepared to say here, because I think this is a forum, basically part of a process that we want to build advocacy to approach Parliament to convince them to repeal a law. And I think if we want to do that, definitely we all should know the messaging. What are the key issues we all should know as journalists and as civil society people, so that when we argue and when we meet our MPs, we know what to tell them and we know what to assure them. But because of time, I will just go through briefly and touch on the most two important things. One is the human rights aspect, and the other one is the business aspect of the media. Okay, thank you. We all know about the history of the criminal libel law, so we won't bother with that again. It was basically enacted in 1965 to silence critical voices or critical opposition. Okay, go to the next slide, please. Of course, we all know about the symposium that we held in 2016. We brought together all the stakeholders. That was the first broad-based meeting of stakeholders where everybody agreed that the law was a bad law, and there was a decision was reached that it was repealed, including the MPs. Okay, this is why the criminal libel law must be repealed. Why it is a bad law? I believe we all know these ones, so we'll jump these ones for now. We'll find a better time to pass on these messages. Go to the next one, please. Okay, this one is important. So let's go to the case of the Atlantic Printers and the New Breed newspaper. It was basically the State versus Judah Spencer. The publication in question was an editorial published by the New Breed newspaper, and it was titled Redeemers or Villains. It was basically an article that was taken from a Swedish newspaper. The number of persons that were charged under this law, and for this particular case, we are 6 people. The publisher, Dr. Judah Spencer, the editor, Donald John, Mamajal Kamara, the layout editor, you see, the person who laid out the newspaper, he was also arrested and charged. And Alfred Conte, the person who is the sales distribution agent, Amere Bangura, the former minister, he was also an assistant sales agent for the New Breed. He was also arrested and detained. And of course, the general manager of the printing press that printed the newspaper. So the case ran for about 3 years, with the accused in and out of Panama prisons. And eventually, all the accused were found guilty on 10 counts. They were charged, but there was also an option for them to pay a fine. So they paid the fine and they were released. But the issue there was that the printer, it was available So the print media at that time closed down as a result of the case, and because the manager was also involved in terms of being brought to court. Let's go to the next one. There's also the case of Paul Kamara. Go to the next one. There's also the case of Paul Kamara. Okay, jump this one as well. John Love Printers and For the People. The State versus Paul Kamara. This was in 2004. And the issue of the publication was Kaba is a convict. Bio Kubet in Kwara State. That's For the People edition of 2004. The number of persons arrested and charged also were the publisher himself, Paul Kamara, was the managing editor at the time. Brahma is the head printer of John Love. Mrs. Charles, the owner of the printing press, and also her son, the general manager of John Love Printing, Joe Charles. So they were all charged. But all three of them were acquitted, and Paul Kamara was jailed for years. And he spent about 13 months in solitary confinement. Later on, he won the appeal, but again, the printing press shut down because of this. So we see that because of this law, the media doesn't attract private investment again because of this. So it took us some more than 10 or 15 years before we started getting commercial printers printing for the media again. Okay, people were talking about the safeguards. If you take out the law, the criminal labor law, what will be the alternative? We've argued that there is no alternative because there are laws also. We take one law, but there are also existing laws that will deal with defamation and also unnecessary or deliberate attack on people's reputation and character. So we have the IMC with the powers to enforce the code of practice, and we also have the civil defamation law, which we continue to appeal that it should be reviewed also, so that the fines will be in tandem with the current situation that we have right now. And then also comes in SLAG, self-regulation. We want to enforce the SLAG code of ethics, and we also want to reconstitute and enforce, give more powers to our disciplinary committee, which has already been done. And maybe by early January, this is something that we're going to unveil and put them into action. So basically, this is just the background. I wish we had more time. But the issue is that we want everybody to join the advocacy and the campaign as we march to Parliament. We've already seen the finish line. We've never been as far as this one. This is the first time we've gone beyond cabinet and we're now facing Parliament. So the Honourable Minister has already booked an appointment with Parliament on the 17th. So it will be nice for us, the whole of the media, and with support from the civil society, we will go there and give our full support as we make a presentation to Parliament to convince them to pass the law. But it is their obligation to pass the law. And that is something because they've already assigned their signatures to many international treaties that protect and promote freedom of expression and fundamental human rights. Yeah? Thank you.
I'd like to call on RAIC, Right to Access Information. Do we have a representative? Yema, good to see you. I know you are part of the committee that was set up, but you can also speak on behalf of RAIC.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you very much, Madam Minister, and thank you, Mr. Minister, for giving us the opportunity to speak at this event. The Right to Access Information Law was passed in 2013 to promote freedom of information for all. And when we say all, we mean all Sierra Leoneans, including people who are living in Sierra Leone and abroad. And the law has a specific mandate. It says every public authority should be able to provide information to the public. And the definition of public, we always take this opportunity to always talk about who the public authority is. And so when we talk about public authority at the Access to Information Commission, it's not only government, it's not only ministries, departments, and agencies. It says also include anybody who receives money on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. So that also includes, for example, CSOs, civil society organizations, and even the private sector, because the law says if anybody does substantial business with government, that institution is also a public authority. So at the right to access information, we are very much happy to align with this process, because freedom of information is also part of the freedom of expression ideals. And so the repeal of this process also helps with freedom of information. Because if the repeal goes through, it's also important, and I know you're looking at me because we're talking about safeguards. Because one of the safeguards is that when you want credible information, you can actually use the FY law. There is a freedom of information law which guarantees access to information for all. So we have that guarantee in place, and we're expecting all Sierra Leoneans, not only the media, to utilize the law and to seek credible information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Yema. I'd like to call on the representative of MRCG, Media Reform Coordinating Group.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Minister and the Honorable Minister of Information and Communications and all other protocols observed. I will only say that as MRCG will hang on the lips of our constituent bodies, because we are a coordinating secretariat that brings together about 10 national media organizations. So our position is not different from that of SLAG, that of IRN, IMC, and others. So we believe that it's high time we took a step as a country to repeal this law, which for all intents and purposes will affect the country's democratic progression. When we repeal this law as a country, we will have added to the scores we continue to make in terms of democratic reform and good governance. And like other speakers have said, this is not a favor journalists are asking for. In fact, it is something that will be of benefit to Sierra Leone as a country and not only media practitioners. We believe the time is now, and we believe that the steps that have been taken so far, which had never happened before in the history of the repeal, I am only optimistic that not too far from now, we'll have a country in which there will be no more criminal libel laws, but also responsible journalism will be enhanced in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Soa. And when we talk about responsible journalism, the next set of people, reporters comes to mind, because most of the time these are the people that, somewhat come in conflict with this particular law. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on the SLRU, Salary Reporters Union, if you have, or the president is here. So please make a statement.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Minister, Mr. Minister, and senior colleagues. Thanks for this opportunity to speak here. I thought we were going to give the vote of thanks as reporters, but it's an opportunity as well. So I was happy to hear from the IMC Commissioner and the point he made about them enforcing the issue of wages and salaries for reporters. That is very important. If we're talking about reforms and repealing this law, of which we've been part of, we are part of the MRCG, we're board members there, and we are an affiliate to the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists as well. So I want to say all what they've said, IRN, MRCG, and SLAG, we fully support. We've been part of this process when it all started, and for us it's an opportunity as young reporters to be part of the process when it started up to this point. And we want to commend government and the president as well for doing what he said, what he promised to the people of this country. This is a very big step, and we hope members of parliament will see reason and support the president and do what is right for the people of this country. We need to move beyond people seeing journalists as criminals or taking them to jail just because they have power. So like I was saying, we're very much appreciative of the IMC of bringing up that issue of wages and salaries, and we also hope will work further, because as we talk about repeal and professional journalism, we need to consider the working condition of journalists as well. A lot of colleagues here come here and they appreciate what you've been doing, recognizing the work they've been doing, giving them awards or stipend with support for the work they're doing. And we hope media owners, who are mostly SLAG members as well and members of MRCG, the Guild of Editors, will emulate that incentive to ensure that reporters who are doing well are appreciated for the work they're doing. For us, it is very important. We think the current state of reporters need to be looked into as we are looking at the repeal of the law. If we don't provide better facilities for them, better conditions of service, then we'll still be crying about professional work. So thanks very much, and we are part of this process. We support it, and we're looking forward to the end of the repeal of the law, hopefully next year, I believe. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Labrana. Ladies and gentlemen, before I call on the minister, may I call on a representative from the Guild of Editors, Elias Bangura.
Thank you so much, Madam Minister, and I want to stand on existing protocols. Good afternoon, all colleagues. To begin with, we deeply appreciate the contribution of everyone in this memorable and glorious process. We appreciate everyone. A process that is necessary and very expedient now, because it doesn't and hasn't done much good at all over the years, except to put us on the hall of dishonor and irreparable damage. Free speech is a human and fundamental right, like every other person has said. But in exercise of it, some of us have lost our lives. Some of us have been manhandled and maltreated as if we were common criminals, even though we are tagged as the fourth estate. Well, at last, someone who is now at State House promised us a repeal of our criminal libel laws. Someone before him also made such a promise, but that promise never came to fruition. However, the present chief occupant at State House, it is now very clear that he is a man of his word. We applaud him, as will anyone who loves democracy and free speech. And right now, and even in years to come, let it be known that the entire Guild of Newspaper Editors appreciate and stand shoulder to shoulder with him regarding the repeal of the criminal libel law. That is the right thing to do. Finally, we want to assure everyone that the Guild of Newspaper Editors, since its formation, has worked tirelessly to foster and practice responsible journalism. And we are happy that there is now a robust IMC, and there is also the civil libel law, which is there to bring to order anyone who thinks that calumny and yellow journalism is their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. Going forward, after this repeal, Sierra Leone is going to see more investment and growth in the media, and the sad reality of attack, collect, defend, collect will become history. And everyone and every entity will find the media very robust, very credible, and so essential. Elias Bangura, on behalf of his chairman and the entire guild of newspaper editors, want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Elias, for that statement. Well, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on the Minister of Information, Mohammed Rahman Suari, to
Colleagues all, thank you very much. I'm so excited to see around the table faces that have eluded me for quite a while. You know, the fact that they are here means we are touching on an issue that is very close to their hearts, Ransford and all others, yeah? So it's quite a pleasure. Actually, I probably should be just coming over here to say the vote of thanks. This was a rallying cry we did. This was a clarion call we shouted and everybody came, right? So that we can mobilize a consensus as we march on the last 10 meters to the repeal process. However, without just going straight to the vote of thanks, let me note that probably this is again the very first time we have solely, exclusively dedicated the whole press conference to discuss the repeal exclusively. I stand to be corrected if such other moves have been made before. This underlines our government's commitment, wholesale, irrevocable commitment to repeal the criminal libel law. I know, like you very well know, other governments before us have come to power on the back of repealing the criminal libel law. In the end, it was all motion, no movement. We are here. His Excellency has shouted it on rooftops. And incidentally, this has been the most vilified, this has been the most castigated president in his long walk to the presidency. But still, he believes in, yes, I mean, this has been arguably the most vilified in the 58-year history of our country. He was the most castigated presidential flag bearer. I mean, he literally went to hell and back on account of bad, reckless, and irresponsible journalism. So if there was anybody who could have taken a hard line against the repeal, it should have been him. But he honestly, sincerely, and genuinely believes in the contributions of the media, and he still believes that even though the brightest of angels fell, there are still bright angels. Right? So, the president is on this forward march with the repeal. I like at this point to recognize the very, very valuable roles of Dr. Sowa, Yema, and the Advocacy and Media Relations Committee, which also comprise of Mr. Fatoma and a whole lot of our development partners who are supporting us in this process. While you were away, we have been holding consultations across the spectrum. We met with the development partners. We told them we needed to do something before we all go for Christmas, at least some Christmas gifts for the media fraternity. So my deputy and I have been in conversations with the top leadership of Parliament, who have engaged the Speaker and the minority leader. We have a scheduled date of the 17th to make a presentation to the Committee of the Whole House. I really look forward to that, and we all should look forward to it. I ask only one thing of you: continuing solidarity, continuing support. When we get to the well, you can be sure, having listened to all of you, and with the work we'll do together, we'll give you an executive representation that will have outcomes that we all desire. So, but let me also note this. Going to Parliament requires mobilization on all sides. That is being funded largely by the Irish Embassy. They have underwritten the whole cost from pay to pay RIP, right? As I talk to you, the Permanent Secretary is processing the resources, and I would rather Sludge or some other person handles that disbursement, right? Because at the end of the day, there will be accountability issues. I'm government, I'm not accountant, right? I like Sludge to manage that disbursement, but it's very, very important that we are family on course. You know, just to allay your fears. I mean, there might be issues, no doubt, but Parliament, at the very highest levels of leadership, also have some reasonable commitment to this process. There might be doubts, they will seek clarifications, but by and large, I have not seen any groundswell of opposition to this move, right? So that is to allay your fears. We're in this together, so the strategy has to change. is one of cooperation, collaboration, rather than an adversarial one. We don't have people who will oppose us. Even if they have issues, they will raise it, and I'm sure together we can all resolve them, right? So I like to reaffirm government's commitment to this repeal process. Sludge can bear me witness that when they went to pay courtesy call to His Excellency, last week was it? I mean, he was very keen. He even put me on the spot yet again to tell him where we were in terms of the repeal. And over and above the repeal, once the economic climate improves, this government will continue to review the subventions to sludge, and I have been given marching orders to lead the process of your land acquisition so that you can erect or construct a sludge secretariat. All of this is being done by a government that has not enjoyed the very best benefits of good media. But I mean, we know when we invest in the media, you know, our government and successive governments will also benefit from good journalism. I like to associate myself with the sentiments expressed by the chairperson of the IMC, a doyen of journalism, Mr. George Koyama. I mean, to whom much is given, much is expected. Let us now begin to seriously think about paying our reporters. Right? When we pay them, then we can hold them to account. And by the way, there's a new minimum wage, 600,000 leones. Just in case you are still in last year's mindset. So we have to be able to do that. That's the only way we can soak the ground. We all talk about the ground dry, right? So you also have a responsibility of contributing to soaking the ground. Pay your reporters as proprietors, as publishers, as editors. Pay them, contribute to social security, and that's the only way we can make the world go round for the media fraternity. So on that note, I thank you all. Look forward to seeing you on the 17th. As we leave here, we are going to concretize plans for the meeting of the 17th. But I'm sure before then, we'll have an indaba again as a family so that we will move the process forward. We all speak with one voice, even when you are on the fringes of parliament that day and somebody confronts you. It's not just the official presentation in the world that will be important. Everybody who speaks to somebody should be able to say the same message. Discipline, synchrony, and all of that. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to seeing more of the ghosts who came to the press conference today. Thank you.
Una sef don listen the update wey comot today inside the Ministry of Information and Communication. Inside the press briefing today, we get with the Minister of Information and Communication and a deputy, and also the President of SLAG and other SLAG members them. We can talk concerning the criminal libel law when they go repeal na Parliament. Me we bring the program can to you today. Me name na Kona Sise. So till we meet again to another edition of press conference, I say tata.